All right, we are on section 4.3 of pre-algebra, working on word problems with multiple unknowns. So in the last section, we kind of touched a little bit on kind of word problems or application problems. Today, we're focusing on application problems or word problems that have more than one thing that we don't know. So the first ones we did, they kind of had like, some number plus 5, right? Would be like n plus 5. Now we're going to have a little more of a story situation where we're going to have more than one thing that they're asking us to find, okay? So let's just jump right into it and let's see how we're doing. So first on page 149, they have a little bit of a blue text box there, and in that text box it says, a bus has a total of 40 passengers. If there are 6 more boys than girls on the bus, find the number of girls and the number of boys riding on the bus. So I hear that they want us to find 2 things. They want us to figure out how many boys are on the bus and how many girls are on the bus. Well, one of the first things you want to do when you have a problem like this, you want to read through it carefully and figure out what do they want us to find out. So I know now they want us to figure out how many boys there are and how many girls there are. So my first step is usually to go ahead and list what things we're looking for. So we've got the number of girls and we have boys, all right? Now, in our story question, there's usually some type of sentence that has like the most information in it. So go back to that statement and that will help us figure out what to put next. So on this one, the statement that had the most meat in it, so to speak, was the one that says, if there are 6 more boys than girls on the bus. So that statement is talking about boys, right? It's telling us about the boys. There are 6 more boys than girls. The first thing I want to do before I tackle boys would be to first deal with the girls. That's the one they told me the least about. The one that they don't talk about, that's the one that you want to give the letter to, okay? So in this case, they're going to use G for girls. You don't have to. It could be whatever letter you want. It could be X or N for number. They just chose G to stand for girls, all right? Because again, that's the one they told me the least about. So now I'm going to go back to the boys, and it said that there were 6 more boys than girls. Well, then that means more means we're adding, right? We're adding 6 to the number of girls. So now I know girls is G, boys is going to be 6 more than G, or 6 plus G. Now I can go back to my problem and I'm ready to create an equation. So there was one other number they gave us, and that was the number 40. And it said that a bus has a total of 40 passengers. So now I can go, oh, well that means if I put the girls and add them with the boys, it should be a total of 40 on the bus. So that's where my equation comes from. The number of girls plus the number of boys. Now I still need another value for the girls because the girls value plus 6 gave us the boys. So I need both of those G's in there, okay? The one for girls and then this one that has the value for boys equals 40. And now we're back to our solving equations. We've got G plus G would be 2G plus 6 equals 40. Solving for G, I'm going to take away 6 on both sides. So now I've got 2G equals 46. Oops, not 46. See, common math mistakes here. Moving and talking at the same time. 40 minus 6. It's going to give us 34. Now we'll solve for G. Divide by 2 on both sides. All right, so we should find that G equals 17. Well, now that we think we're done, we want to go back to our question and make sure we answered the question. Well, the question said, find the number of girls and the number of boys that were riding the bus. Well, we'll go back to my label. I found girls. Girls is 17. Now I gotta go back and figure out the boys. Well, if I know the number of girls, then I can figure out the number of boys. Because it's the number of girls, which we just found out was 17, plus 6 will tell us the number of boys. Let's see, so 23. Okay. So now that I think I have my answer, the way that I could check it is to say, well, it's supposed to be a total of 40, that I end up with a total of 40 in the end. Well, 17 plus 23 gives us 40. So it's a reasonable answer. So this is the entire process. And it can seem like a lot. It really takes more practice. The more you do of these, the better you'll get. So I'm going to work at least one or two more examples from the textbook. I won't get to do all of the examples, but I'll do a couple here, and then you of course can look at the other ones in your book and see if you can follow that process. And then during class, we're going to work through these together. All right, here's another example. This one is from page 150. We'll do letter A, and then we might also do letter C. I'll have to decide which one I think is the better ones to do here. All right, so the first thing, we're going to read the question. And this is example 4.3. And this one's letter A. It says, the sum of 3 consecutive numbers is 189. What are the 3 numbers? Okay, well, the first thing I gather here is that we're looking for 3 numbers. All right, so I'm going to go back and read it again. The sum of 3 consecutive numbers is 189. Well, I have to know what consecutive means. Consecutive means that it's the one that comes next, okay? So, like for example, if I was talking about the number 23, a consecutive number for 23 would be 24, okay? So we're just talking about 3 consecutive numbers, 3 numbers that come in order. Well, if I don't know what they are, which we don't, I'm gonna list out my first, second, and third numbers, okay? Since they're consecutive, I can start with the first one. I don't know what it is, so I'm gonna call it X. I think your book calls it N. We'll stick with what the book says. The book used N for number. Our second number is going to be 1 away, because like consecutive for 23 went to 24. I know my next number will be whatever N is plus 1 more. Well, my third consecutive number is going to be an extra number away from the second one. So I could say that it is my original number plus 2. Okay, this will give us 3 consecutive numbers. And the thing is, every time they say consecutive numbers, this is going to be the setup. We don't know the first number, but the next number is going to be that one plus 1. If they ask you for 3 consecutive numbers, then you'll add that extra one where it's N plus 2. Now that I have my labels, let's go back to the question. The question said that the sum of these 3 consecutive numbers, so I know sum means that I'm adding these together. So I'm going to take the first number, which is N, plus the second number, which is N plus 1, plus the third number, which is N plus 2. The sum of these 3 consecutive numbers is 180, and we know is means equals. So now we're ready to solve it. We're going to first combine like terms. N plus N plus N is 3N. The 1 plus the 2 equals 3. Now I want to continue to isolate my variable term, so I'll do minus 3 on both sides. So now I have 3N equals 186. To completely isolate the variable, we'll divide by 3. And then 3 into 18 is 6, and 3 into 6 is 2. Okay, Did I do that right? Yes. Nope, 62. That's what I get for working a little faster in my head there. All right, so our first answer we have is that n equals 62. And this is why I really like my labels, because now I can figure out what I know. The question said to find the three numbers. Well, right now I have n equals 62. That's one of my numbers. Okay? Now I can find the other two. The second number is going to be n plus 1. So 62 plus 1 gives me 63. And my third number, I know what n is, 62 plus 2 this time equals 64. So I now have my three consecutive numbers, 62, 63, 64, and we can double check it by adding them together to confirm that we get 189. Okay? So, this kind of problem is a little different. We started off with the most important sentence and kind of figured out which value to give the unknown and then worked from there. This one, it said consecutive numbers, so we knew to go right to this as the layout. Let's see if we got time to do one more. Let's go ahead and do letter D of the same example. Okay. Letter B, it says, Eden is 4 years younger than twice the age of her sister Bethany. If the sum of their ages is 20, how old is each sister? Okay, so the first thing I keyed in on is that last part where it says, how old is each sister? So if I don't know anything else, I at least know to label the two sisters. So the two sisters were Eden and Bethany. Okay. Now we'll go back and find that most important phrase. So it says, Eden is 4 years younger than twice the age of her sister Bethany. So that's a lot. But again, break it down. Who are they talking about the most? Well, it sounds like they're talking about Eden the most. So if they're talking about Eden, Eden is 4 years, blah, 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 blah. That lets me know that Bethany needs to be my unknown. Okay? So they used B to stand for Bethany. Okay? Bethany is the one I talked the least about, so I'm going to put B for Bethany. Now I'm going to go back to Eden, and it says Eden is 4 years younger. Well, I know 4 years younger sounds like we're taking away 4. And then I'll go back and say take away 4 from what? Eden is 4 years younger than twice the age of her sister. Well, I know twice means times 2. So twice the age of her sister, Bethany, well, we're using B for Bethany. Twice the age of Bethany would be 2B. So now I just kind of usually go back and reread just to make sure that it makes sense. Eden is 4 years younger, minus 4, than twice the age of her sister Bethany. Twice Bethany would be 2B. Now, I've got Eden and I've got Bethany. Now we'll figure out what last piece of information we need to make our equation. It says, if the sum of their ages is 20, how old is each sister? Well, I know sum means to add. And I'm going to add the 2 together. So Eden is 2B minus 4 plus Bethany, which is B. And then it told me that the sum of their ages is, or equals, 20. Now I'm ready to combine like terms. I know 2B and B, those invisible 1 there, makes a total of 3B minus 4 equals 20. To isolate the variable term, we'll add 4 to both sides. So 3B equals 24. To isolate B, we're going to do the opposite of multiplying by 3, which is to divide by 3. So I have B equals 8. Okay? Well, I go back to the question, and it says I need to find how old is each sister. Well, right now, I go back to my chart here, my little list, and I go, oh yeah, I know Bethany, because Bethany was B. Bethany is 8, and now I can use that to find Eden's age. It's going to be 2 times 8 minus 4. 2 times 8, 16. 16 minus 4 would be 12. So I know Eden is 12. And our way to check it would be to find out, well, does it really come up with a sum of 20? 12 plus 8 equals 20. So yes, it does check. All right, that was a lot. So if you need to pause or come back and watch this later, absolutely do that. Hopefully you got some good notes, and we will go over these in class tomorrow.